joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, Danbury, Connecticut, 6 to 6:30. Phone line open early and often, 203-792-4101. As you know, the 30 minutes goes fast, and I do not stop to wait for your calls, but if you do call, we will answer the phone and talk to you about whatever sporting news you would like to talk about. I know Tim Tebow is still on the mind of many. We'll get to him maybe. Maybe we'll talk about him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Our main man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr. is here.
Yes. How are you,
doing,
Scott?
Bob? Bob's a little bit upset this week.
Yeah, I had a very bad weekend.
Down in the dumps, just like his Danbury Whalers.
Yes.
Maybe former Danbury Trashers. Down in the dumps, speaking of which.
Yes.
Danbury Whalers, we said last week that the worst case scenario would be to be returning home down 2-0, facing elimination.
And
we were fairly confident that that would not happen.
Well, at least we thought we'd have a split.
But the New Jersey Outlaws proved us wrong,
Yes.
them of the 49-0-1 record, and also the former Danbury Whaler head coach sticking it to his former team down there in New Jersey this past weekend. What were those scores of those games, Bob?
I'm embarrassed to say, 7-2 on Saturday and 5-1 on Sunday.
Yipes.
That was a 12-3 for the weekend. Not very pretty.
And defense and goaltending has been their calling card, but
Yes.
they could not get anything going this time around against those Outlaws. You know, the other thing we thought maybe the fact that the Outlaws have not been playing any competitive games in a while, sitting around with the bye week in the second round, and the Whalers playing competitive games, impressive first and second round victories, looking good with all their momentum, that would work in their favor. Not so much. Not looking too good as they come back home, but Friday night, it's your chance for the fans there to come down to the Danbury Ice Arena.
I will guarantee you it will be a sold-out crowd tomorrow night.
Fans will not back down now. They support this team thick and thin, and they will be there at the Ice Arena, and maybe they can inject some life into this and make the Outlaws have to earn it.
Yes.
You know, we can't just give it to them.
No.
We can't just give the FHL Cup, the Commissioner's Cup to them that easy. The Whalers are going to come out, and they're going to do everything they can to force a game 4. Maybe put a little pressure on the Outlaws and then see what happens, you know? They will be without one of their players. They'll be without one of their players, right?
Yes, Kelly Miller will not be playing with them because he had a little
altercation in what?
Yes, on Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday's game, and we know that he's no stranger to suspensions.
Yes.
He's suffered a long suspension in the mid part of the season, which kind of galvanized the team. Actually, they played very well during that, and that kind of launched them into this playoff run. So, you know, it's all going to be decided this weekend no matter what. We had the schedule up there a second ago, I think. But Friday night and Saturday night, they'll be here in Danbury if needed.
Necessary, yes.
And there it is again. And Sunday, if they could perhaps force a miracle, they could get to April Fool's Day and say, April Fools on you, New Jersey Outlaws.
Yes.
We want the Commissioner's Cup. So, you know, one game at a time. I'm sure that's what the coach is preaching right now.
I know a team called the Red Sox made a big comeback a few years ago.
That's right. They've provided hope for every team in the history of sports that is down, facing elimination. All right, before we get into the rest of the show, let's say hello to all our guys in the studio doing a good bang-up job already. Mike Toohey directing the show, Expose Cinema, his show, of course, Friday nights at 10, Tuesdays at 1. You can check out his stuff. Danbury Live, all the political news of the Danbury area. John Newmeyer's show Saturdays at 7 and Tuesdays at 11.
Yes.
Those guys in studio doing a good job, as they always do. Okay, let's get right to the NFL news. Did you go to the big presser the other day, the big Tim Tebow presser?
No, I didn't read.
250 plus press passes were handed out. Neither one of us was there.
No.
I feel a little jilted by Tim Tebow. And, I mean, everybody showed up for this except for the Jets themselves.
Right.
Nobody there to introduce Tim Tebow.
No, not even Sexy
No general
Rexy.
manager, no Sexy Rexy, no owner. Where was Woody Johnson?
Where was
Where's
our
Mr. T? And there we see Tebowmania as they were waiting for him outside, down on one knee.
Where was Mr. Sanchez?
No Dirty Sanchez, although he finally broke his silence on the subject and spoke, saying that he agrees. Tim Tebow, what was the under-over on how many times Tim Tebow would say, "I'm excited to be a New York Jet"? He said it at least 100 times in that press conference. Unbelievable. I'm excited to be a New York Jet. I'm excited to be a New York Jet. The most interesting thing that he said, though, however, because I thought maybe the Jets would get a little clever, and since they, didn't introduce him, had him walk up to the podium and say, "Hi, I'm Tim Tebow. I'll answer your questions now." That was the opening of this press conference.
Yeah.
It was really quite ridiculous. I thought they might say this was a Tim Tebow thing, because he's so big, he had to have his own press conference, and we didn't really have anything to do with it. But he threw him under the rug at the end and said, "I'll blame my bosses. They told me I had to do this." I thought that was about the most interesting thing of the presser. So anyways, Tim Tebow related news, though, as the week has gone on, Sexy Rexy, they've been comparing him to Brad Smith, who obviously went to Buffalo last year, and they want to bring back the Wildcat. Tim Tebow,
Right.
oh, by the way, is a quarterback and does not run the Wildcat. He runs the option as a starting quarterback. Usually when teams run the Wildcat, the starting quarterback goes out of the game, so you wouldn't put in a backup quarterback to run a Wildcat. You would put in a halfback, a
Right.
special teams player, a return guy like Brad Smith. Anyways,
Unless, of course, Sanchez has one of those games where
well, yeah,
Fall
where,
apart.
where they go to the backup full bore. Well, Rex Ryan says he's going to play 20 snaps a game. At what position, who knows? And also Sexy Rexy back into his classy ways. You just see how he threw Mr. Schottenheimer under the bus.
oh yes,
The only person who could stop Brad Smith in 2009 was Brian Schottenheimer, his former offensive coordinator. Very nice, Rex. Glad to see you've returned to your stay classy, sexy Rexy ways. And then Darrelle Revis comes out yesterday and he says the locker room was a total disgrace last week, total circus last year, and we are a team in disarray, and bringing in Tim Tebow only makes it worse. So that's where we stand with the New York Jets. Very nice. Other pressing news in the NFL, will the Saints be rewarded with a big fish
What a big
for their
fish.
big, huge bounty? The big tuna. Bill Parcells is in the rumor mill as far as being the guy to guide the Saints while Sean
did not
Payton
hear
serves
this.
his one-year suspension. That is all the news that's fit to print. Talking about that for the last 2-3 days, Bob. Where you been? You missed it?
I missed it. I'm sorry. I've had some things that.
Yeah, your Danbury Whalers got you down.
No. I had things going on with my father, so that took a little precedence. So.
All right. Well, we know your dad has been having some issues lately. We hope it's not serious. But Bill Parcells is the guy who they are looking at down in New Orleans. What a, if you're going to punish a team, why are they allowed to bring in a, Hall of Fame caliber coach
Right.
as form of their punishment? That makes no sense. That's
But
like
then again-
Ohio State in college football. They run a decade-long, program that breaks all the rules, so they have to fire their coach. What's their punishment for that? They get Urban Meyer to come in
Yeah.
and be their new coach. Yeah, big punishment. That worked out terrible for
Yeah.
them. So, big tuna there, maybe, possibly leading the way for the Saints. Other quick NFL news. Your boy Brandon Jacobs and Mario Manningham have flown the coop and landed in San Francisco.
Oh.
Both of them signed with the Niners, Bob. So a couple guys from your
Yeah, I got a
luckiest
few.
team in the history of the NFL, Super Bowl winning Giants.
Yeah.
Heading to San
That's kind of
Francisco.
like normal. I mean, when anybody wins the Super Bowl, what happens? They break the team up.
Everybody goes. All right, let's shift gears to the NBA. And of course, that phone line is open. Anybody wants to get in, 203-792-4101. Love to hear how you think Tim Tebow is going to make this work. Tebowmania.
The bricks are starting to come back.
8-1 under Mike Woodson,
Yes.
Bob. What's the deal?
It must be the new coaching.
You know, they obviously had quit for D'Antonio. He's gone, and now Woodson, 8-1, and they crushed the Magic. This is why you can't trust the Magic as being a legitimate contending team. No Stoudemire, no Jeremy Lin.
No.
They were up by like 40 points at one point in this game, at least 36, 38 points during this game. They crushed them last night. And Carmelo Anthony he's walking around, running around with a pulled hammy of some kind. So they finally get back over 500, one game over 500. They still remain a little bit behind the Celtics and the Sixers. The Celtics and Sixers are now tied among the top of the standings in the Atlantic Division. And the Knicks are 3 games behind them in the loss column. So they still have a little ways to go if they want to catch either the Celtics, who, by the way, 12-5 since the All-Star break. And they've been doing it without Ray Allen. Michael Petrus is still out. Of course, they lost Wilcox and Green. Season-ending heart situations. So they're banged up, and they are getting it done. They had a nice win over the Utah Jazz last night. Old friend Al Jefferson was in town, and they pushed them back. But the Bricks, Stoudemire's out 2 to 4 weeks, depending, with the bulging disc in his back.
Yeah.
Jeffries is still out. Jeremy Lin, he should be back soon, I think. A little knee issue, I believe. But they had a big win over the Bucks because the Bucks are the team that was trying to catch them in the wild card standings. They put a little distance between them. Even though the Bucks are actually 7-3 in their last 10 games, but the last 3 or 4 games they lost to the Celtics, they lost to the Knicks in head-to-head matchups with teams that were right in front of them. So that has dropped them back since that trade they made to bring in Monte Ellis to Milwaukee. I mentioned the Celtics tied with the Sixers. I think it's only a matter of time. They're going to pass the Sixers. The Sixers are, not doing so good since their terrific start. Question remains, will the Bricks catch them? Brick City, can they go by the Sixers? I don't know that they're going to catch the Celtics. Although,
interesting.
We'll get into their schedule a little bit more later because they have some cupcakes down the stretch. They got some tough games coming up. New York does. They're in Atlanta on Friday night, but Atlanta, no great shakes there. Right now, they are tied with the Pacers in the loss column, right ahead of Boston. Boston's either hot on the heels of either moving up in the wild card standings behind Atlanta and Indiana, or not even have to worry about it and jumping into that top 4 spot because they'll be Atlantic Division leader when they pass the Sixers.
What's going on out west?
Out west,
How's the Fakers
your
doing?
Fakers, again with the drama. Shobi Defiant, he got benched the other night in the 4th quarter of a game that they got blown out in. He was not too happy to have been pulled early of a blowout loss. He thought he should have been able to come back in and help the team try to rally. And then Andrew Bynum gets benched, was it last night or the night before?
I think night before.
Yeah, the night before, attempting a 3-point shot. Coach did not approve of his shot selection, the big 7-footer. Some of these 7-footers like Garnett takes the occasional 3, but he's a good outside shooter. Obviously, Dirk Nowitzki, good outside shooter. Andrew Bynum, not known for his outside touch, but he hit his only 3-point shot, I believe, against Utah recently, and now he's got the bug, like all these big guys do. They start shooting from outside. They want to be like, I'm a shooter. Give me the ball. I can shoot.
Hey, don't pick us on our 7
Oh,
footers,
wait, that's right. Bob over here. How tall are you again, Bob?
7'1".
7'1"?
Yes.
You're taller than Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You like to shoot from outside?
Yeah. Yes.
Come on, post up, stay down in the box, rebound and dunk the ball, shoot that hook shot, and that'll be your way to go. We'll stay in the West for a moment before we head back east. The Spurs and the Thunder riding 5-game and 4-game winning streaks respectively, so they are still the hot teams out west, 1 and 2. Phoenix, who I had buried a little while back, and I thought they were going to trade Steve Nash. They're only 1 loss out of the playoffs right now. Denver, Houston, and Utah are all tied in the 6, 7, and 8 spot. And Phoenix is only 1 loss out of that spot between all 3 of those teams. So Phoenix is making a run. So watch out for Steve Nash and his boys possibly getting back in the playoffs. The T-Wolves were a team that we were watching earlier in the year. Looks like they're probably done now. They're, still within striking distance, but they got too many teams to go through since that Ricky Rubio injury. But Kevin Love is an absolute monster, Bob. Have you seen some of his games lately? 50-plus points.
Yes, I have.
40-plus points last night. I mean, this guy is amazing. If Rubio can come back strong next year healthy, and they can add a couple more pieces or just to keep getting better and more experience, the T-Wolves are going to be in the mix, and they're going to start making noise. Heading back east real quick, Miami, if you notice, quietly kind of, they are 8-6 in the month of March. They've lost 2 in a row 3 times during this stretch. So the Heat, who were hot, are now cold.
Yes.
Not good. And dispute over whether or not Pawn James has a dislocated finger or not. He says he does. His coach says he doesn't. I don't get it. I mean, why would you say, yeah, I dislocated my finger, and then the coach says he doesn't have a dislocated finger? What's he talking about?
You got dislocated something else.
Is that an excuse he was trying to make for their most recent loss to Indiana?
Yeah, I think
the Pacers do remain a team. I'd say overall, between them and the Hawks, the two teams that are in the middle of the pack, the Pacers are still the team that plays better, even though they had those disappointing losses in the home-and-home series against the Knicks last weekend. So that's basically what's going on in the NBA. Let's get to the NHL because we do have other stuff to get to as well. Sweet 16, Elite 8, and now Final 4 to name just a few. Rangers and Bruins this week was good for both of them. They are now both 5 points clear of the Pens and the Sens, looking good to hold on to their number 1 seeds in their division. Rangers will be obviously number 1 overall. Yeah, Bruins will be number 2.
We had a great comeback win last night.
Yeah, very good against Winnipeg. And the Rangers now also pulled up even with St. Louis for the number 1 seed overall, top standings. A quick little stat I want to point out here. Goals against on the season. The Rangers in the Eastern Conference, 172 goals against, great number. Bruins, 186. St. Louis leads the league, 147 goals against. They're obviously doing it with defense. But check this out. Los Angeles Kings, who are right now 1 point out of the playoffs, 165 goals against.
Yes.
I mean, basically everybody else is up over 200 except for a handful of teams. But that I found to be a very interesting stat. The Kings could still get in. They're sitting there tied with Colorado with 86 points. Phoenix and Dallas at 87, right in front of them. Calgary is also in the mix at 85. San Jose, who looked like they were totally dead. The Shark Tank was losing water, but they have all of a sudden moved back out in front, 88 points. But again, that's because of their division lead. If they drop a point or a team flip-flops with them, they could go all the way back to 7, 8, or out. So 5, 6 games remaining. The Penguins, who are still, pretty red hot, although they had a disappointing loss the other night, they play the Islanders tonight. They have a game in hand, so 1 extra game to make up those 5 points against the Rangers. But I think this week might have done it for your Rangers, the blue shirts there. We'll see. Buffalo Sabres also are ahead of the Caps, so the Caps right now are out, and they are at Boston tonight as well. Buffalo has won 5 straight, only 1 regulation loss in their last 10 games. So the Sabres making a big jump, and they are right in the mix for hockey. That's the NHL. We got about 10 minutes left. We will be getting into baseball big time next week, and we may even have a special guest. We've heard him on the show before. Last we spoke to Mr. Jimbo Jambo, Jazzy J, Jimmy Myers, one of our callers, occasional. The Red Sox were collapsing, and he was opining about that with us. But he may be calling in next week, or actually maybe even coming in. We'll see. I got to talk to him this weekend. We'll find out.
The Red Sox, 100th anniversary.
100th anniversary of Fenway. We're going to get into all the baseball stuff next week, as it'll be opening day next Thursday when we're doing our show for the Mets. Yankees, however, are Friday. I don't even know, which is sad to say.
And who's
the Red Sox, I believe, is
opens
Thursday.
in Japan?
So, yeah, the baseball started. If you missed it, MLB season actually started yesterday, or was it like 2 days ago? I don't know. How does that time difference on the other side of the world work? Did it happen 3 days ago, or did it happen tomorrow? Is it in the future or the past? I don't know.
That's my new website.
Oh, that's right. We didn't plug the website. Let's do the plug real quick.
Okay. New on Facebook. Danbury History.
Danbury History. Maybe I'll have to put up a little Danbury and the Revolutionary War, the documentary that we did a couple years ago, way back.
Sure.
I'll have to dig that up and put that up on your website there.
More than welcome.
We'll do that. But you got a bunch of hits, a lot of people liking the page already.
Yeah, I
and
even got a big response from the Patch.
Danbury Patch did an article. Very nice. So getting some media coverage there, and it looks good so far. Maybe we'll see some Westerner stuff up there, I would imagine.
You definitely will.
Maybe we'll even see some Whaler stuff.
We'll see.
They're not that historical yet.
No, well, we only two years.
Westerners go back a little ways. All right, so what is it again, real quick?
Danbury, Connecticut history.
All right, look for it on Facebook. I saw it. It looks good. But anyways, MLB did get underway. Mariners and Athletics split 2 games in Tokyo, Japan. Of course, it was Ichiro, all the rage in the opener yesterday or 2 days ago, or whenever that was. 4 hits in their 3-1 extra inning victory. And then Bartolo Colon cast up from the Yankees. Remember, Bartolo did very well for them last year. They did not bring him back. He goes 8 innings, and the A's win 5 a.m. this morning. That game ended local time 4-1. So Oakland and Seattle come back to the States, and they will actually be playing more spring training games now that the regular season already started. The Red Sox had this happen to them a few years ago, which wasn't pleasant for anybody, really. But they start the season 1-1. And also other big news in MLB, Magic Johnson buys the bankrupt LA Dodgers.
I saw that this morning.
Very nice. All right, quickly. Quick note on golf. Watch out, ladies. Tiger Woods ended his 30-month drought. Some lucky waitress at Hooters, I'm sure, got a real nice surprise on Sunday night as he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational. His 30-month drought is over. Also, some Olympic news. This is a big blow, Bob. Team USA men's soccer fails to qualify for the Olympics. They lose to El Salvador. Unbelievable. Oh, my goodness. They were winning this game 3-2 in a penalty time, extra minutes, and they lose. They are out of the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is not good. And also what is not good, beach volleyball announces that the girls volleyball players do not have to wear bikinis anymore.
Ooh. Well, that's not, now there's nothing wrong with that.
They're going to put them in shorts and t-shirts. It's all, they're on the beach. You got to be in your bikinis. I mean, come on. All right, whatever. So, anyways, let's get to the Final Four. Actually, let's get to the Lady Huskies first because they're in the Final Four as well. Defense is doing it for them. They're shutting teams down, and they're shutting them down big time. Impressive run here to the Final Four. The Lady Huskies get a date with Notre Dame on Sunday night.
Rematch.
They beat them in the Big East Championship, but they lost twice to them in the regular season. So that's going to be huge. And then the winner will probably have Baylor. Who's Baylor playing? Do you know off the top of your head? I'm not sure who they got on the other side, but they're in the Final Four. We predicted that they would make it there, and they did. Now, huge game. Sunday night, Notre Dame is going to be huge. NIT is tonight, Stanford and Minnesota for any of you basketball junkies looking for a big game. The final championship is tonight, Stanford and Minnesota. Final Four, the game of the day will be Master P, Ricky P, Mr. Patino going up against John Calipari. Louisville, Kentucky, the Bluegrass matchup.
Yes. This
is no love lost. These coaches hate each other. These programs hate each other. Huge rivalry. Kentucky, ran over Baylor in their Elite Eight matchup, and they had a high-flying game against Indiana on the first Sweet 16 night. They looking pretty good. They did have a couple of injuries. We'll see if their guys are actually fully 100%. They might be banged up a little bit. But Louisville got by the Gators in a major comeback. It sure looked like the refs had it in for the Big East on Saturday in the Elite Eight matchups because they had huge foul trouble to overcome. Syracuse had huge foul trouble to overcome, and they could not as Ohio State took them down. and they will be playing Kansas in the other Final Four game. And there you see Trader Jim and his orange getting the boot by the refs and Ohio State. The officiating was horrible.
Go Ohio State.
Hey, Buckeyes, you know, if you really, really look at it, what they did to Cincinnati and then taking down Trader Jim's orange, they may have actually come through as the most impressive team. I have been certainly very impressed with Ohio State. Kansas looks very good. 12-0 run to end their game against North Carolina, and that was a good game. Back and forth. First half was run and gun. Defense picked it up in the second half. Not as many points were scored in that second half, but they sure did come through, and they did a good job getting by Tar Heels. You know, and that was another interesting coaching matchup. Roy Williams against his old team there, you know, Kansas, and Kansas lays it to them. 12-0 run to end it as they pull away, and they get to that Final Four. So you got Kansas, Ohio State, Louisville, Kentucky. It's going to be great. But the story of the NCAA tournament really has been the near misses. There we see Ohio right here against North Carolina. They had this game. When is a brilliant game by an unknown player turn into a nightmare?
Oh, easily.
When you miss the free throw on a three-point play that could win the game. Instead, you go into overtime and you lose. Ohio had this game. Unbelievable. They could have knocked off Carolina in the Sweet 16 round. They didn't get it done. And also Wisconsin not getting off a shot against Syracuse in the final minutes. A good shot, really. They ended up getting a shot up, but it wasn't what you wanted. Wisconsin played a pretty good game against Syracuse. That was a nip and tuck game right there. So, you know, near upsets that did not come through is a big story of the tournament. And again, no buzzer beaters. Ohio almost had a chance against Carolina. And also the other big story is foul trouble. Huge foul trouble to overcome for these guys, and basically too many whistles in general. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. So we will see what happens as we wind down the end of the show here. Danbury Whalers, we of course rooting for them to pull off the major comeback.
We can do this weekend.
We will have a FHL champion when we return next week. We will have a new NCAA champion when we return next week. And we will have the start to the MLB season, maybe even a guest.
Maybe we'll even have
Are they trying to send a message to me? They just went black on me for a second, Bob. All right, we're out of here. We get the message. Turn up the Fatty Roots.
We'll have a first come win, and we'll have a...
All right, we'll see what happens. Turn up the Fatty Roots, and we'll be out of here. See you next week.